What up, friends? I'm James, your host, and today we are doing another starter pack. This is where I recommend to you 5 albums from a specific genre. These aren't necessarily the most popular or most influential, but they are ones that I like and I think you will like too. And today, we're covering dance pop. So what is dance pop? Dance pop started in the 80s as pop music that branched off from disco and post-disco. Some forms of dance pop even take influence from EDM and house music, especially certain genres like Eurodance. In a way, you can kind of think of it as a sister genre to new wave, synth pop, and electro pop. Dance pop in comparison to these genres is more consistently upbeat and also more structured. It's definitely not as free-form compared to other forms of pop and electronic music. Dance pop also has evolved from the 90s, 2000s, and beyond, taking influence of the other genres that were present at the time, like alt-rock, funk, and hip-hop. However, many current dance pop artists are still taking advantage of those disco roots to this day. You can also see a lot of dance pop and its sort of influences represented in things like K-pop and J-pop too. Without further ado though, let's start with the first album, and that is Cooler Kids' Punk Debutante. This one is definitely going for more of a retro style. It's very 2000s, but I think it's a lot of fun and has a unique identity because of that. The whole album just oozes Y2K charm. There's a lot of variety on this one here too. It definitely has that house party vibe with a lot of upbeat and catchy songs, but it isn't afraid to kind of slow down and get a bit groovier too. They don't show up often, but I also really like the house influences on this thing. It gives it some crossover appeal, so if you like genres like house or new disco, I do think this is definitely one that you should check out. The vocals just also have a very fun and addictive confidence to them. There's also some seriously good and infectious compositions and harmonies in this thing too. The final track on this album, Blue Nile, is also just a pure housey gem. If you like punchy, synthy, and danceable pop, this one is definitely one you want to check out. Next up on the list, we have Britney Spears' Blackout. This album perhaps needs no introduction because it is by the Britney Spears, but I wanted to include it on here just in case someone who isn't familiar with pop music is watching. From the "It's Britney, bitch" opening line, you know what you're in for. Sultry, confident, yet sometimes dark dance pop that really represents what Britney was going through at the time. The sheer variety of sounds on this album is also a definite highlight. It has so many ways of using synths, these harsh yet lush pop and electronic beats, alongside some sampling here and there too. Like, this album is definitely not a pop star kind of coasting on her reputation, on her laurels and things like that. Her and her producers went into this thing trying to make something unique, not just regurgitating her past hits. Speaking of unique, again, I really like how dark this album can sound at times. It's not overtly dark, but you have tracks like Gimme More and Freak Show that have this sort of like unhinged weirdness to them that I think really contrast the lighter and poppier songs like Heaven on Earth perfectly. Yet despite being moody, despite being unhinged, they're all still so catchy. From Magdalena Bay to Lady Gaga, your favorite pop acts were probably influenced by this album one way or another, and it's clear to see why. It's pop perfection. Next up on the list is Dua Lipa's Future Nostalgia. Now, if you want something that really takes influence from the genre's disco roots, this is the one to go for. Dua Lipa's sophomore album here was very different from her debut, featuring much more lush and sort of natural sounding instrumentation, while also not sacrificing the catchiness of the songs. It also has some punchy production and slick vocals too that really showcases how multifaceted Dua Lipa is as an artist. The whole vibe of the project is very confident, yet also kind of nonchalant too. Dua Lipa's vocal style here is almost kind of talky on a lot of the songs. It definitely has a very unique vibe to it compared to other dance pop and disco albums, and I think it also carries itself very well and builds into the confidence that are expressed in the instrumentals too. I also love how fuzzy and warm the beats and instrumentals can feel at times. It definitely feels like it's not going for a minimalistic vibe, kind of like her previous album, and a lot of pop acts at the time as well. It wanted to be lush, it wanted to be kind of in your face, and I appreciate it for that. Those samples also just go crazy on here. They're used so well. From the airy and bass-filled Levitating to the more theatric and pining Love Again, it's just a very well-rounded project that, again, uses its disco influence as well, but also kind of brings it up to speed with a more modern sound too, to make it not sound like it's just coming from the past and it's not trying anything different. There are maybe one or two slower, more pop ballad songs on here that won't be to everyone's taste, myself included, but even so, you know she's gonna perform the fuck out of them, so it's still pretty decent. Now we're going to be getting to PinkPantheress's Fancy That. PinkPantheress has always been fun ever since her debut, to be honest, but this album in particular just takes her artistry to the next level. It's a great and addictive combination of dance pop, two-step, and UK garage as well. The instrumentals are very light and airy, but also demand your attention too. Despite most of the songs on here being pretty upbeat, it's a fairly chill project after all. It's great if you want something fun while also not being very in your face. Fun and cheeky vocals, cool samples, and a pretty short runtime all add up to something that you can replay over and over without it getting stale. And I think the fact that it does demand your attention despite being so breezy, despite being almost like whimsical in a way, is something to be said. Tonight, Nice to Know You, Stateside, and Romeo are all perfect examples of the variety that she has on display here, while also creating a very core and consistent sound too. Next up, we have Confidence Man's confident music for confident people. Okay, I might be cheating with this one a little bit because it's not a purely dance pop record, but in my defense, this one is doing so many different things, it's almost kind of hard to pin down what genre this is exactly. There's new disco, dance punk, alt dance. Like, this is a perfect example of dance pop when it doesn't take itself too seriously, when it's allowed to have some freedom and fun to it. And I think this kind of shows in the lyrics too. The lyrics themselves are very tongue-in-cheek, often making jokes or having these almost like little skit tracks here and there too, even though they are actual songs. It's pretty fun. This album is all about being confident and having a good time, and I think the vocals express this well. Once again, it also has a sort of nonchalant vibe to it, but that's mostly because, again, they're not taking themselves too seriously. Don't You Know I'm in a Band and Cool Party especially are definitely along that sort of skit vibe that I was talking about earlier, and I think it just shows how almost creative this album is too, in the sense that it can kind of like break down the whole aesthetic surrounding dance pop into these little tracks that kind of just describe different scenarios where you might play a song like this, or just kind of making fun of themselves and the genre as a whole. However, despite not taking themselves too seriously, that doesn't mean that they're not good musicians. Like, they know what they're doing here. They're able to create some very catchy and almost like beautiful arrangements at times too. Like, if you don't feel something when you're listening to Out the Window, like, what's wrong with you? So I think that's going to do it for this little brief taste into dance pop. If you guys have a favorite dance pop record or multiple, be sure to let me know in the comments. If this kind of sparked your interest in the genre, be sure to let me know what you think about these projects in particular. After all said and done, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell if you want more starter packs or more album reviews and kind of discussions, which I'll be doing next as well. But until the next one, farewell.